You had recently been in a debate with Jeff Rath, and we know Jeff, and we appreciate his gumption for Alberta independence, and he's doing some good things. But when watching that debate, something became very clear in that he didn't really approach your argument as charitably as I would have liked. He repeated a line several times, if you recall, where he said that essentially he tried to boil down your argument into you wanting to remove the rights of 300,000 Albertans, obviously the Indigenous population in Alberta. Obviously, I don't think you mean that, because I don't think you were given the opportunity to really expand on that. Can you sort of explain? Jeff's main problem with this point was that he believed it to be a non-starter as far as Alberta independence goes. So, do you think it's a non-starter, or do you think that there's a way around this?
Right. Okay. So those are two very different questions. So let me do the first one first.
Yeah. Thanks.
Right. So am I trying to remove the rights of 300,000 people? The answer is it depends what you mean. If you mean, would I like to see removing the special status of 300,000 people, then the answer is yes. But that doesn't mean removing the rights of those people. The point is that the rights held by those people have got to be the same as for everybody else. We're not taking those rights away. Everybody must be treated the same way in the law. And to that end,
you're equalizing.
You're equalizing. So just a clarification. At the moment, Indigenous people who belong to bands who have reserves do not own plots on reserves. They do not have title to that land. It's a group right. It's a group possession. So what I've suggested is you take those reserve lands and you make them into lots, and you give title to those lots to individual Indigenous people so that they can do with that land what everybody else can do with their land, which is to improve it or sell it or lease it or bequeath it, mortgage it, whatever they want, because that's what everybody else gets to do. At the moment, individual Indigenous people are subject to the tyranny of the group and subject to the tyranny of the group's leaders. You're caught. You're stuck within the concept of the group right. You cannot make decisions for yourself. Now, you can leave the reserve and go and live in the city and do what everybody else can do. The fact of the matter is that off reserve, individual Indigenous people have the same rights as everybody else in Canada. And that's the way it ought to be. But it ought to be that way everywhere. So that's my answer to that 300,000 people question. It's not quite the way it was framed, but there is some truth to it in the sense that it is trying to put everybody on the same level and have them being treated the same way. There's a saying I think comes from Thomas Sowell. He said, when you're used to special treatment, equal treatment seems like discrimination. And what I'm suggesting is to get rid of the discrimination, to get rid of the practice of seeing people in different ways. In other words, as far as the law is concerned, there should be no such thing as different peoples. The law should simply apply to people. Now, to your second question about, how practical this is in a political sense. Well, you guys might know better than me because I'm not on the ground in Alberta. Now, on the other hand, I've been in contact with a lot of Albertans. People have communicated with me in various ways. And an awful lot of people have said, yes, we agree with the Aboriginal point. This has got to finish now. This is a bad system. It was a bad system from the beginning. And look at the results. The results are terrible. They do not help the people they're pretending to help. So why would you want to retain it? So both in principle and in effect, where we have it is a terrible idea. And so if we stick to the idea that Alberta wants to be a free country, then to me, it's kind of a no-brainer.